In the hands of a great poet, words have ways of affecting us in ways we don't understand. This is so true of my next guest. When he greets you or when he's opening up an email to you, the words grab you and they put you in such a great mood with high energy that you are looking forward to reading or listening to the next few words that come out of his mouth. Another quote that goes with this: your mind will give back exactly what you put into it. James Joyce. So those words of positivity, energy, and excitement, they're going in and they're coming out when you're interacting with my next guest. Super Saturday, Sublime Sunday, Make It Happen Monday, Tenacious Tuesday, Winning Wednesday, Tremendous Thursday, Fun and Fabulous Friday. What is Nicole going on about? Well, this is how my next guest may greet you in person or by email or otherwise. Daniel Lewis is an entrepreneur, author, keynote, motivational speaker, the 2023 chair of the Brampton Board of Trade, and most importantly, a community advocate. Daniel started his everything in Brampton, Ontario. Everything meaning his life, business, family, and much more. And I've invited him here to inspire us for 2024 and beyond, and gain his perspective on why Brampton is the place where investors, real estate and otherwise, should seriously consider. Before I let Daniel in, Brampton is a city located in the northwest of Toronto, and it has a population of about 657,000 people, and that's as of 2021. So Daniel, with that, welcome to the Real Estate with Nicole podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I'm excited for our time together.
Wow, what an intro. So great to be here, Nicole. Neptune, Nicole, you're out of this world. There you go.
See, you don't disappoint. Thank you so much, Daniel.
So glad to be here.
So, just getting into this, what is it about Brampton? What is it about Brampton? Whether you're a resident or an entrepreneur, why is it the place for investors or families to really want to come to and settle down in?
So it's such a great question, Nicole, and I'm happy that I spent the majority of my life in Brampton from so many different angles. And the funny thing is, my answer can touch to any of those things. Brampton, we're not a perfect city, but we have this character. There's just this certain character to Brampton. And it's one of those, I know the modern thing right now is if you know, you know. It's one of those things. If you live in Brampton, if you work in Brampton, if you've invested in Brampton or spent time in Brampton, there's this certain character that we understand each other. It's when you see anybody emerge from Brampton and go on a national stage or anything like that, you're like, that person's from Brampton. And that's what I've always loved about it, that, we connect very seamlessly here in Brampton. And it's easy to say, these people understand the way of living, the way of life. And that's what's, attracted our business, me, my investments to the city. And I know that as we continue to develop, we get more perspective added to that. But that's what it's really been. Just a really, really cool character about the city.
Yeah, it's that cool character that we can make fun of ourselves.
Yes.
I meet people, even, Russell Peters.
Yeah.
Bramptonian.
You got it.
We have this sense of humor, and no matter what, we can always make fun of ourselves and keep on going and knowing, it is a great place to live.
Yeah.
There's the one thing I've lived in the States and I've lived in really nice communities. But the one thing that really kind of differentiated that community, which is awesome, location where I lived, was the recreation centers, the facilities for people, for kids, for adults, for seniors. There was always a place for people to connect and to be together, where it's artistic pursuits, whether it's physical fitness, whether it's just social interaction.
Yeah.
There's this vibrancy there.
When you said rec center, I'm like, oh my God, that is so true. Because I lived on every side, every corner of Brampton growing up. And once we moved to a new neighborhood, my parents would say, okay, go to the rec center. So whether it's Terry Miller, Don Cherry's, which is now Susan Fennell, Sportsplex, they send you to the rec center, and that's where your friendships start and your relationships start. You start playing tag with friends. And so to hear you say that is just like, you're so right. The rec center is where it's at.
Exactly. I just went to a drop-in pickleball because I didn't get to sign up for tennis because it was just it was blown out before I even got there. But it was amazing how you can just meet friends so easily. You have this commonality and people are just so welcoming and friendly. So yeah, it's that it factor that you can't really explain. You just have to experience
100%.
it when you come in there.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries.
So let's see. I want to come now back into, you being an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And you started, I'm going to start with Daniel's Tea.
Yeah.
And I want to think about what was the thought process? What was the impetus for you starting Daniel's Tea? And take us through that journey.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's funny because in my own mind, when I was just getting started in business, so it's about 13 years ago when I started Tea by Daniel, when I had approached my parents with the idea, I was thinking, I'm going to start this business in New York City. Because I'm thinking, you're going to be an entrepreneur, go for it, go to the Big Apple. And I knew nothing when I was talking about, but that's what, on the TVs you see, success. It all looks like it's in New York City. But my mom said, how are you going to be known with this business, this new tea business idea in New York City when your neighbor next door here in Brampton doesn't even know you? And what that did was it really centralized my thinking to think community and to think locally first. So rather than thinking I'm going to go make it on the world stage with a business and then come back to my hometown, I actually did it the other way around. So I became really, really big on immersing into the community, getting down into the economic development and the chambers of commerce, going to the local events. And that train of thought, or that, it's not even a strategy, that way of thinking is what helped my business grow. So one of the first things that I did was I became a member of the Brampton Board of Trade. I got to meet the people, the friendly folks at City Hall who would connect me. You got to go meet this person, go meet this person. So then they got me into the farmers market. And that's what really was a springboard for my tea business, was the farmers market, where it was kind of just this platform to meet locals, share my products. And then from there, business just kept growing as we built relationships, meaningful relationships with customers who I believe helped us to grow and immerse into the world of entrepreneurship.
That's awesome. It's really about plugging yourself into the community
100%.
And building those relationships. And I know that's something that you really try to focus in on your motivational speaking or your, I think, and you're right. It's understanding your community. People need to know who you are and they trust you and like you, and they spread the word
100%,
and they help you.
Yeah, and help you. That's the most important thing, because when you're getting any entrepreneur, you sometimes want to start a business, or you're thinking of starting a business. You think you got to start this perfect, polished engine that people are just going to love and come and support. But again, my parents helped me understand that no, the local economy, your local customers, your early customers, they want to help you go from a kettle to a bun machine. You know what I mean? They want to help you go from 2 tables and chairs to having a cafe, and then celebrate that success with you. So that actually became our social media strategy, was every advancement we would make in our business, whether it was we're going from this small sign to this big sign, look what you did, look what you did, look what you did. And customers became really excited with us. And so it was just a fun ride to be building a business with the help of our customers and then celebrating the journey, which was just awesome. And it made it more sustainable as well.
Right, right. And people always talk about the tea.
Yes.
And I love it. It's
Nice.
So chai, that's so
Of
good.
course.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that, Daniel. And then in terms of your business, Tea by Daniel, what other opportunities did that open you up to? So yeah, you focused on locally, but how were you able to reach out or touch maybe on a more international perspective?
Great question. And again, speaks to the power of starting local is you may be a mom and pop shop or a small business, and you might start that way. But when you live in a multicultural city like Brampton, you're not just talking to Bramptonians. They have family members from all over the world that are visiting them around the holidays, especially Christmas when we were out in the garden square serving up our teas and things like that. So all their family members would travel in, people from Japan, India, Ireland, everywhere. And then because we were the local spot, their family was like, you got to come to this tea spot. They come, we build relationships, we create an experience for them. They go back and they start talking about it. And so we started to get recognized on an international scale here and there. Eventually, you keep going and then the dots start to connect. I remember in, I think 2016, we got invited to the ESPY Awards in Hollywood where we got to serve tea to celebrities and things like that, like the Backstreet Boys, which was like epic for me because I was like, I'm from the old school of Backstreet Boys. And, so getting that kind of international exposure, fast forward 2017, one of our most notable milestones was serving tea to now King Charles, back then Prince Charles. And we even questioned that ourselves, like, how do we go from a tea shop in Brampton, small business, to getting on the international stage? When we trace it back, it's from starting to build those meaningful relationships where you're from. And just trust the process. Believe that people are going to spread your name and the experience that you create. And that just becomes a global effect.
Awesome. So it's creating that experience, involving the community so they are involved in your ride and they're helping celebrate your success and keep propelling you forward so that we're all so proud.
Right. And then you just want to sing the praises of this local business, this local gem, right? And it's important. It's important because if you try to go at this business journey alone, it gets lonely and then you get stunted in your progress and your growth. But when you have advocates, which are your customers, makes the process a lot smoother.
Awesome. That's a really nice tidbit in terms of, having that advocacy. And Brampton is that kind of locale where it is so multicultural that you can develop that and people have that sense of community.
100%. Awesome. 100%.
Okay. So I'm going to take it now to being the recent chair of the Brampton Board of Trade for 2023. So I know you just recently finished your tenure. So just wanted for you to give us some perspective based on all the things that have been happening. And I know you did so much over the past year and I'm witnessing the activities. But from your perspective, what are your thoughts in terms of where you see Brampton moving forward, maybe 2024 and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, it was a great educational experience for me to be chair, to be in that role. And it allowed me to be in the rooms where a lot of these conversations that have to do with Brampton's development and growth were happening, which is super, super important. Because if you ever thought that advocacy doesn't work, I can tell you it does. It does. There's nothing, we can't accomplish anything if we aren't speaking up and making our voices be heard. And so that's what this past year has been, my role as chair. What I'm seeing for Brampton is that there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of projects that are going to take us to the next level as a city, but they're still on the table. And they're waiting for those key decisions to be made. What's going to help those decisions be made is you and I speaking up and being in the room and letting it be known, whether from an investment standpoint, like I have investments in Brampton, from a real estate standpoint. My business started in Brampton. I have family in Brampton. So yeah, I want to be a part of those conversations that have to do with its growth, transportation, schooling and education. My sister goes to school in Brampton. All of these things, they're all waiting to break through to get to the next level of awesome. But it's going to take more contribution, I think, from, the community and, the movers and shakers, I like to call them, people who are invested in the city. And so it's there. So don't think nothing's happening. It's all happening, but we've got to push it over to make it really, get there.
And just for your comments, I would agree with you. Just being in the room and some of those conversations and having businesses or having more businesses be part of those roundtables, providing the feedback, be really engaged and having that community involvement, really plugging in, just like you plugged in with Daniel's tea from an entrepreneur perspective to build your business, plugging in to understand what's happening in your community to help it blossom even more than 100%. It is. Because the potential is there. There's so much that is planned and that can happen. And it's a matter of, boots to ground and really pushing forward.
100%. And then if I could just add to that too, one thing that I think sometimes we underestimate is the power of storytelling. If we don't become storytellers for the city, then we leave the narrative into someone else's hands to tell the story about Brampton. And that's when it gets dangerous, because if media channels and things like that want to spin a narrative, they're going to do that. But when you have you and I, put the realtors, put the entrepreneurs, put the manufacturers, put them all in the room to learn what the potential and the opportunities are. We go out now to our networks and we control the narrative and put a positive narrative out there, or, honest but positive, but, where it needs improvement and things like that. But it's in our hands. Storytelling helps bring about change, but sometimes we undermine that a little bit. And so I always try to be a part of telling the story. And even platforms like this right here, this podcast, this is what it takes. And so, be in the room and tell good stories.
Exactly. And get that word out. Share it. Spread the, just like, that's why I like the story about Tea by Daniel and how you started and, how international, like how it went. It didn't go from here to here. It went from here out.
Right.
Which is kind of, that's the way we can control it, because we can control the little things and then it blossoms.
Absolutely. Blossom. I like that. And we're the flower city, right? We're supposed to blossom.
Yes, we're the flower city. We need to bloom all the time. Yes. Love it. Love it, Daniel.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Oh, okay. My next question is now related to more your motivational speaking and keynote speaking, consultancy, that kind of end of your business. So just wanted you to get some sense in terms of how did that start and kind of where you're going, or how do you see it growing?
Absolutely. It's, as most of my business ventures, they start out of passion and a need, but unexpectedly for me. It's not that I set out and I'm like, I'm going to be a motivational speaker and I'm going to be a consultant. What happened was, so I do have a personal story, which would probably take a lot of episodes for us to go through, but there's a personal story element to, what kind of grounds me or my why in business, which is basically I wanted to impact the world in a positive way because my life was hugely impacted through a circumstance that I went through earlier in my life. Business, the tea business became that first driver. So I always say that, yes, I sell tea, but I'm not in the tea business. I'm in the creating memorable experiences business. I use tea to do that and to try and impact the world in a positive way. So now I'm building this tea company based on that foundation, starting to see some success. We're starting to get in newspapers and people are talking about us. So then I start getting invites from businesses, around the city and around the greater Toronto area. Daniel, would you or your wife come in and, just talk about this business, this tea business that you're building? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I started going to luncheons and, meetings and things like that, talking about my business journey. And that kept happening. Then schools and then, universities and things like that. Then one day someone called and said, I'd love for you to come and share your story about your business. What's your fee? And I'm like, fee. There's a fee? So that opened my eyes. I didn't know that. That started my speaking career. Then I realized, oh, I'm a speaker. Okay. Then, I started building, getting invited, to larger companies. And then I started refining my message and my story. And then international, started traveling and speaking. And while that was happening, after I would speak sometimes, people would then say, do you offer consulting? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So very organically, right? Mm-hmm. That it just kept building. Mm-hmm. And then I opened a marketing agency with my wife and started helping small businesses do the same, because I found out that what we were doing is not, it might feel like we're winging it, but there's actual strategy here. So we started to help small to medium-sized businesses, and it just kept growing from there. So I became speaker, tea guy, consultant, and then I published some books and just kept building off that. So that's kind of how it happened, and just kept escalating.
That's a very inspiring. No, and it's very encouraging because, for people who are contemplating moving into the area or starting a business in Brampton or in the region of Peel, your story is kind of helping them to understand they can start small. You can just start really small, and it's a matter of really plugging into the community and really 100%. Understanding your community and helping, let your community help to celebrate your success. So they're part of the success. So you're building memorable experiences. Did I get that right? Yeah, memorable experiences.
Yeah, you got it right.
So I'm thinking for me in real estate, I'm trying to help people build generational wealth in a positive manner. So, that's kind of like, you want to really help people on the journey so people celebrate. And it's not just you helping, it's the community that's helping. And in the pace of generational wealth, it's not necessarily just me, but if somebody refers somebody, they can say, oh, I helped that person to, get on the journey and to continue their journey on that. No, that's excellent.
Yeah. And then why I love just your kind of value proposition in what you do with your business is, yes, I might be buying a home or an investment property right now, but if you're helping me with generational wealth, that means you're thinking about my kids and my, in-laws and things like that. You're touching more lives with your business. And I always feel like businesses that have a strong why and try to bring about impact in a great way, those are the ones that succeed when it's more than just the sale today. And we've done that with our tea business and every avenue of business we've, touched. And, even hearing yourself, that's your focus. Those are the businesses that I feel, we remember. So I always think it's awesome when you have a strong purpose on why you're in business. So yeah, I love that. Generational wealth.
Let's add one more question, just with regards to your experience and what is kind of one lesson, like I know you spoke about your journey, but what's one lesson that you've learned that you'd really want to pass on to others? Either starting a business or investing, etc. What's that one piece of advice?
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'm going to split it because the investing one might be a little bit different, but the one for business, for life, for relationships, for everything, it's kind of like my North Star statement is, and I said it in business, so I'll say it this way. The secret to succeeding in business is in the first two letters of business, which is be you. And why that has been so important for me is it really talks on authenticity. I found that anytime throughout my business journey that I have sacrificed being myself, those are the times where whatever I was doing didn't really work out. And even if it did work, it didn't feel right. I'm succeeding, but not as me. Every time I went back to being me, whether that's as a speaker, the way I would market my tea company, like at farmers markets, putting on costumes and whatever felt real and authentic to me, those were the times I saw a lot of success and sustainable success because I was able to continue doing it and feel happy about it. So I always encourage anybody, be yourself, like succeed on your terms. And don't compromise your values, missions, or yourself and personality just to succeed because it doesn't feel good. So that's kind of my business, life, even relationships advice. When it comes to investing, the best thing I ever did was start reading books. And I know it seems like just this, obviously read books, but oh my goodness, there's a whole world of information out there. You get to learn from people's mistakes, their wins, the intricacies of their journey. And then you get to consume all the information and then make your decisions. It is amazing. And when it came to my personal investments, the book I read was The Richest Man in Babylon, which really, I see you're getting the nod there. Like,
awesome.
It was life-changing for me because it set me with a foundational financial understanding. And once I applied what I learned there in that book, then I was able to look at the world of investments and make conscious decisions for me and for my family. And my life financially, since I started on that journey, has been obviously rocky, but up, 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 up. And so I always tell everybody, get informed, read books, and then make the decisions with not just you, but your family in mind.
Right. No, that's awesome. Okay. 2 things. Being authentic, not compromising on your value system integrity. Awesome. I totally 100% agree. And about reading books, The Richest Man in Babylon is amazing. I highly recommend it. It's probably not easy to get. You have to get it online.
Yeah.
But it is a much worthwhile read. I know my mom probably used to tell me little tidbits. She didn't read the book, but she would tell me little tidbits when I'm reading it. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is what my mother always told me.
Yeah.
And it's
exactly.
all in one spot. So no, totally agree. All right. So any last words, Daniel?
No, I love the conversation, Nicole. Thank you for having me on the platform. What I would say is, and I know this is, you're a realtor, you're in the real estate industry. What I would say is, since I don't even know how there's fireworks coming out the screen right now, but maybe it's for this big bang ending statement. But one of the things I would say is coming into a new year, we're setting goals. We're reaching out for new opportunities and things like that. I put this piece of content out there over the last 2 days, and it is kind of my guiding message. This year, be intentional. Be intentional is what I would love to leave with you, your audience. And all that means is know why you're doing something. Know why you're pursuing this goal. Know why you're branding your business this way. When you're intentional, you get these expected results, and it's based on something that is sustainable. That's a big word that I like to use now, because you planned it. You made the plan, and that's why you're doing it. Whenever you go off course and you're not intentional, things may happen and they might feel good, but you weren't really prepared for it. My investments, I'm intentional about it. I'm intentional about my business and the relationships that I build. So just, be successful, be intentional, and be in the room.
All right. And don't quit.
Don't quit. You see it. Don't quit. Do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate the time we had today.
Me too. Thanks so much for having me, Nicole. Cheers.
Daniel Lewis ended our talk with 3 key words for us. And these 3 key words are essential not only to life, but also to real estate investing. They were: be intentional, have a plan, and be you. Being intentional means that you are looking forward, you have a plan, and you are working towards something, and things are not happening haphazardly. You have a plan which is time-bound and probably budget-bound. Things that will help guide you towards reaching your goal. And obviously, be you. Be comfortable with being you and going towards your goal and your plan. Wise words from Daniel. I have a quote from Diana Ross. Instead of looking at the past, I put myself ahead 20 years and try to look at what I need to do now in order to get there then. Like what you hear? Follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating and review. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them. Sharing is caring. One last thing, I'd like to thank my producers, Stories and Strategies, for their amazing work.